change all of these up if we want to. If we just got a bunch of people to agree that really we want to do things a different way, that's basically how it works.
Double feminine N-I-T-E, blast play, sleep, low, consume. Many complicated parts, this is my perspective.
Hello, it is me, it is Becca. Welcome to my perspective. I am really hoping to burst your bubble right now. Now, you may have explanations I haven't considered for these, and I would love to hear your reasons, but there are just some things that happen in the world, or the way that we do things, that are actually completely arbitrary, and they are only set that way because a bunch of people decided, yeah, we like it that way, it works for us. These are a bunch of things that are totally arbitrary and are only TE true because everybody agrees with it. You might have heard this one if you read the book The Fault in Our Stars. She argues, why are things like eggs considered to be only breakfast food? So there's number one. The things that we eat at particular meals. The fact that we have cereal in the morning. The fact that we have steak basically only at dinner time. That is only TE true. This goes into number two as well. The times that we eat. Why is breakfast, lunch and dinner, these three meals? I suppose we have agreed that we can meet at that time to have the meal. Why even eat at any point in the day ever? There are so many different diets that, of course, yeah, everybody knows about. You can do intermittent fasting, you can do days where you fast. We don't have to eat at these set times. If it doesn't work for us, we don't actually have to follow the crowd. Retail prices. Retail prices are totally arbitrary. Wholesale prices, obviously, there's a reason for that. The cost of the materials and the pay for people to assemble the product. How much more a retailer adds onto the price that they sell the item for, they make it up. Okay, yeah, there is some need to be able to make a profit and pay the people to run the store and whatnot, but a lot of the time, particularly places that are highly esteemed and make a lot of money, obviously, because they put their prices up, well, that's it. They're only putting the prices up because arbitrary reasons. It's only a TE, we agree that's appropriate. Units of measurement. Okay, I understand, yeah, a foot is a foot's length, but I mean, do we really know what a foot length really is? Why is an inch the size of an inch? And why are feet 12 inches? Why don't we cut feet into 10 feet tenths rather than inches? And I know cubits, yeah, the Mesopotamian measurement, they use cubits a lot. That's the length of elbow to tip of the fingers. There's the royal cubit, which is something like 13 inches. But really, the only reason your country uses feet and yards or the metric system is because someone decided, yeah, we want to do it this way. Maybe a few people agreed, maybe one person dictated that. It doesn't matter. You can make up your own measurement system, your own units of measurement. I would recommend the metric system, but it's arbitrary. You know, you don't have to. You actually don't have to. I am getting kind of worked up like a single observer. Wow. Why am I getting so excited about this? Currency. The thing that you buy things with, okay? It is just a TE true kind of, we agreed on this. Do you realize that notes and bills of cash actually only even say on them that this is equivalent to the value of, for example, $5? There is no particular reason why notes or coins or puka shells or literal gold is actually the currency for your country. Use your imagination. Anything could be currency. Notes, bills, why don't we use cubes? That would be fun. Why don't we make these little cube blocks that fit together like puzzle pieces? Like, why don't we use Lego blocks as currency? Why not? This is one that really affects people actually a lot, okay? Time zones. The distance at which time zones are set across the planet, the number of time zones that we have. Okay, yeah, we can't ignore the fact that the sun being at highest point when it's 12 noon, that's the best for our biological clock. There is a TI true reason for that. But the amount of space on the planet that gets to be put inside of a time zone, that's arbitrary. Why not have our own time zone for every house on the planet? Which I know it doesn't work for everyone. That's the thing. We set the space between time zones and how many time zones are around the planet at an arbitrary point, because really, if a smaller community of people decided we want to have our own time zone over here, they could, and they do. That's how it's just the way that people agree that they want to set their clocks. Speaking of clocks, clockwise. Which way is clockwise? Is it this way around or is it this way around? It's only that way around because we've all gotten used to clocks being a particular way. Unless, of course, I totally don't know anything about clocks, and perhaps the first clock inventor only was able to make the ticking movement go in one particular direction. That would make sense, but I haven't heard of it. You know what else is fun? Is the direction from which side we read on a page, the way that we write our text. I am used to reading words left to right on the page and starting at the top. I start at the top and I go down to the bottom of the page. But other countries, they read up and down the page, and some go the opposite direction. As long as the teachers in your school, that would be funny, if all the teachers in your school decided to learn and teach you how to read backwards, and that was the only way that you read things. Our brains could work that out. We could switch up, yeah, because if you, like for instance, Hebrew is in a different direction, you kind of get used to it. Everybody TE agreed, it's how you read it that way. When do you count how old you are? What point do you count it from? Because a lot of us count from our birthday when we came out of our mama. But what about when we started to be in mama? There are places in the world where your 9 months in the womb is also counted as part of your age, because that's how long you have been on the planet. We arbitrarily set that. Like what is the answer when you are signing a legal document, or when you're putting on your driver's license how old you are? It could be totally either way, depending if we just agree. And the calendar in general, calendars, it can be different. The time of a month is a real moon cycle. That's more TI true. There's a reason that a month should be a moon cycle. But how many moon cycles do you stick into a year? Well, that one's confusing, because if you put 12 moon cycles in a year, you haven't gotten around the sun, so that's not a solar year. With the Hebrew calendar, every 3 years, you will get around the sun 3 times. So at every 3-year point, that is the same as 3 solar years, as long as you stick in a pregnant year with another month in the 3rd year, which is kind of weird, but also kind of cool. If we would all just agree to do it like that, then it would be TE true. There are other calendars, particularly the Western one that we're all used to, where we've got 12 months with seemingly quite arbitrary numbers of days that we all have to memorize, which is so annoying because they're not all the same. I mean, did you know there are countries just a few years behind? They're like in 2011 right now or something. It's crazy, but calendars are arbitrary. Not everybody's using the same calendar. And did you know we're not all using the same melodic scales? I had to learn a bunch more about this when I was doing my music degree. It's music. Music and the pitches, the tones, the frequencies of sound that we consider to be notes and melodic when combined to make combinations of these frequencies, they are arbitrary. the settings at which we hear it being melodic is only what we are used to hearing and what we think is music. But actually, la 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 la, the major scale, is only melodic to people who are used to hearing other Western scales being used in music. The Indian scales, though, are very different as well. There is Japanese scales, there is African scales that we are not used to hearing as melodic because our ears are just not trained for it, but we could train our ears for it. In Western music, the settings at which we stabilize the notes are seemingly more mathematical, but there is still debate in modern thought about music today of really what notes should be like the notes. It's a fascinating debate, actually. The pronunciation of words, or the pronunciation of words, is also just something we all get used to, and we do it that way. It TE works for the person who's hearing us to get the communication, when really dialects and accents in general, completely arbitrary. The place that the tongue rests in the mouth is really only natural for us because we pick a place to stick our tongue, and becomes normal for us because we just train ourselves. The way as well that we spell things is like that one in particular. The way that words are spelled, if you, I encourage you to look into the history of English. It is so fascinating. I'm not quite sure what the methodology was when the first person created their English dictionary, but at the time there would have been thousands of people, particularly in England, like this is where it happened, the English language was being hybridized and formed and made more normal in England. But the person who made the first dictionary were just choosing the spellings that they liked, really. I mean, yes, it did come down a lot of the time to this was the spelling more people were using, and it TE worked for more people. But sometimes there's a better way to spell something to understand the way that it sounds. But we throw that out the window because we just want to use the spelling that TE works for everybody. Did you know though that it's totally conventional the way that you spell a word, and you don't actually have to follow the rule. You don't have to follow the crowd in the way that you spell a word. Yes, in the world of being an author, being a journalist, being somebody who actually writes as a profession, you probably do want to do the TE. This is the set. There's a rule behind it, but there's not really a rule behind it the way something's spelled, because if we all just got on board with the idea of spelling words differently, then that would become the true way to spell it. It would. The way that we spell words can change because of popularity. The number of letters and characters, because not all the characters are letters, that you use, also arbitrary. The ones that you use, the way that they are also squiggled and the way they look, okay, they are totally random. We've all just gotten used to it. It's TE true. It's not TI, it really has to be this way, but it's TE, it works for us, we recognize this, we're used to it, we think it's normal, therefore there's apparently this rule, but there's not really a rule in the way that you shape the letter A. Both are true, all are true, none are true, it's just completely up to you. Did you realize too that time doesn't even have to be 60 seconds for an hour and 24 hours for a day? I mean, there's a TI truth in the day being the space between one dark period and one light period, but the time in which the day starts, do you realize not everybody starts the day at midnight? That's actually a really weird time to start a new day. It is actually really weird. In my country, that's the way we set our clocks. But In some countries, the time that the day starts on a new day is at sundown. You better be following the law. However, the side of the road that you drive on, it's a convention. There's no right or wrong way to drive on the road unless some people get together and make a decision of which way works. It's not a rule, it's a convention. It's only real because you believe it in your mind. The words that are determined and practiced over again being used as people's names, those are arbitrary. You could name your child plant. You could name your child camera. Because, like, the first time that somebody was called Rebecca, it wasn't before that a name. Before that, it was a word that described a knotted cord, like a piece of rope that's got a knot in it. It sometimes gets translated as noose. So, that's just really fun to me. You could really name your child anything. You could name it anything because it's just a TE, you do it that way, everybody accepts it. But today the names that are in the baby books, where you choose a name for your baby, the ones that have been printed there, they're actually just words from different languages that in those different languages, they mean something. I challenge you to choose a thing that you recognize as being only TE true, only conventional and arbitrary, and the way that people do things because it's popular, it's the way that works for everybody, or at least we all just get on board with the idea. I challenge you to choose one of these and be a rebel, to do things differently. I need to get on board with that idea because I need to practice not being so feminine with my TE. But yeah, so what my idea is, I'm gonna stop giving a damn about the way things are spelled. I'm just going to do my own communication to myself, particularly when I wrote notes. I don't need to care about spelling. I don't. I actually don't. There's no rule that says that I have to spell words particular ways. It's not a rule. It's a convention. It's arbitrary and it's only TE true.